to my channel. While you're here, before you leave, if you like the content I'm putting out, share, like, subscribe. But welcome back. So today, I've got my gardener coming. FYI, full disclosure, my gardener is my pops, my daddy. So total social distancing will happen, but I am going to make him lunch while he's here. And one of his favorite things in the world is homemade hamburgers. And yes, I'm even making my own buns. That'll be in a different recipe. However, homemade hamburgers. Very easy, super simple. You can do it with just some basic salt and pepper, but I know the way my pops likes it. Hopefully we'll get him on film later. I don't know. He's so cute even though he's grumpy. Let's get into it, shall we? All right. So I'm making a double batch. And the reason I'm making a double batch is because, well, homemade hamburgers are always fantastic, and you can freeze even what you don't cook. Okay, so that's the plan here. I say that, but I also have big eaters. So for this recipe, I'm obviously doubling it. So for each pound, so each bag is 1 pound of ground beef. You're going to use half the ingredients. So for one recipe, 1 pound of ground beef, 1 egg. Okay? So and I always do my liquid ingredients first, because I like to make sure that they're blended and incorporated thoroughly. Okay. To this, we are going to add 4 tablespoons of milk, but for each recipe, it's 2 tablespoons of milk. Remember, I'm doubling up here. We're going to add a 1/4 cup of your favorite barbecue sauce. I'm doubling up, so I'm going to add a 1/2 cup. And I am also making my burgers slightly bigger, because if you're gonna eat a hamburger, like, I mean, McDonald's is good for some things, and I get it. Their tiny burgers are so cute, and gastric bypass, if I'm feeling like that's what I want to eat some garbage. Their cheeseburger is blessed, it's thin, I can usually handle it, not really, but if I feel like I need that little something every once in a while, that's fine. Okay? So we're just going to mix this in, and while I mix this in, I also like to add in my salt and pepper. So it's about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and about a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, because prior to my meat going on the grill, I season it with salt and pepper, just the shape to taste anyways. Okay? And it's important to also let your burger patties rest, right? So after you form it, you want to let them kind of hang out in a cool place. I'm going to pop mine in the fridge for about an hour so that they can rest and kind of retighten. And then a 1/2 hour before I'm cooking it, because you don't want to put freezing cold meat on a hot grill either. That's just going to seize everything. I'm going to take it out and let it rest on the counter so that I can put it on the grill. Okay? So that's great. Now we're going to go ahead and get the meat in the bowl. I'm going to do that off camera so I can wash my hands afterwards. Okay. Let's give her a mix. So you don't want to be incredibly rough and like beat the garbage out of it, right? Because you're going to get rough meat. But we are letting it rest. So if you're pressed for time and you're not doing this ahead of time, then just be ginger about when you're mixing. Now this is a recipe that you can also do in advance. So when I have big barbecues, obviously not during COVID-19, but when I have big barbecues, I like to do this the day before if I've got time, and then put them in a lined Tupperware and kind of throw them in the fridge. And again, I do take them out a 1/2 hour to kind of rest on the counter and get to somewhat normality with room temperature prior to grilling. Now you can also do these in a pan on the stove. If you don't have a grill, that's completely fine also. It's just a preference thing, right? And use whatever you got. All right, so to this, we're going to add 1 cup of breadcrumbs. So for each batch, each recipe, each amount, it is a half a cup of breadcrumbs. But because I'm doing a double batch, I'm doing a full cup of breadcrumbs. Now you can use seasoned breadcrumbs if you want. My pops, my daddy makes breadcrumbs for us. So he takes leftover bread, like, you know, the ends and stuff, and puts it in airtight containers, throws it in a warm, dry place like the oven, and then he blends it, he sifts it, he blends it again, and then puts it in a lovely, big, huge Tupperware for me so that I don't have to buy breadcrumbs. But seasoned breadcrumbs are totally fine too, because they have a little bit more seasoning, so it's a you preference thing. It's just, this is how I've always grown up. So you want to make sure that it's all incorporated. It should still feel wet, but be firm at the same time. Okay, so make sure you go around the sides and you blend in and get all of the breadcrumbs, all of that lovely seasoning. And if my dad wasn't here, I would also have chopped up some onion and put in here, but also probably not, just depends. But that's also a welcome addition, is chopped up onion. That's okay, we're gonna put it on the top. All right, so I do have a saran wrap lined plate here, okay? And I do have some more saran wrap to the side so that I can just go boom, 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 because my hands are messy and dirty. So I've got a nice ball, only one though, so sad. Nice ball of meat here. Okay, if you can see, it's nice and firm. It's not falling apart. Okay, so this is the perfect consistency, because if it's too loose, it's not going to stay together on your grill or in your pan, because when you go to flip it, it's just going to crumble and fall apart. Still be tasty, but just keep that in mind, okay? And ever so slightly, you're just going to form a patty. And also, think about the size of your burger buns. Now, if you're using a lettuce wrap, you should be fine. But think about the size of your burger bun, and keep in mind that your beef will also shrivel, right? So it may look like this size now, but when it's cooked, it's going to be much, much smaller. Okay? And the thicker, the longer, and you're gonna have to cook it to make sure you get it cooked all the way through. I mean, I know in the States, that's a good size. For this family, anyways. I know in the States, you guys sometimes like your meat a little bit more rare, like mid-rare in the center. Most often, I mean, I'm not going to speak for all Canadians, but certainly in my family, in my extended family, and my friends, we like their cooked all the way through. We don't like to see pink in our burger unless it's from a ketchup mixed with mayo. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get all of these done, and we'll come back and see you when we go to the grill. Alright guys, so we've got our grill on super hot, and we're going to place our burger patties on the grill. We're not going to flip them until we start to see some blood come up from the top. Sorry. Okay. Now remember, they will shrivel. Don't worry about it. I did do some baby ones for the littler people. Alright. So I'm going to say about 4 minutes each side to get them cooked all the way through. What do you think, Pops?
Looks
Alright. Okay, we'll be back, guys. Alright. Ready for a flip. We're filming, so they're a little darker than I wanted, but we'll cover those with cheese. Back up, please. There you go, guys. We're going to turn down the heat. Alright, guys. Looking great. They are not burnt. They're not charred at all. It's just the barbecue sauce with the sugar. It's the over caramelization. If I would have pulled them 30 seconds before, you would not have seen that. Let's break it down, shall we? I spent probably, because I did a double batch, $6 on my meat. The cheese, what does that work out to be? Like $1, so $7. My eggs, my breadcrumbs, my barbecue sauce, let's give it another $1.50. So let's say $8.50. Feeding a ton of people. I can feed 8 actually, but today we're feeding 6 or 7. No, I think we're feeding 8. Look at that. So super good, super healthy, minus the cheese. As always, guys, if you enjoyed, like, share, subscribe, and from my kitchen to yours, enjoy. Happy gardening.